Now listen close, for I am about to tell you something so crazy it would make even the great Zeus jealous. What if I told you there was one goddess who could defeat armies without lifting a sword, who could even deceive Zeus himself? Her name was Athena, and she was the smartest goddess in all of Greece. But don't get confused, she wasn't a mutant. She just knew how to use her brain. And I mean really use it. I'll give you an example. Let's say that you were hanging out with your friends one day, and suddenly the sky turned black and a huge monster with 3 heads and wings flew down and demanded that you hand over your girlfriend. You may think that you're doomed, but then your friend steps forward and says, "Hey, Medusa, how about I wrestle you?" Okay, sure, if that's what you want. And then when Medusa agreed, he ran away. That was stupid. It was also pretty smart. Because let me introduce you to Perseus, a handsome young man whose father was the great Zeus himself. Now, Perseus had heard rumors of this terrifying gorgon named Medusa, who had the power to turn men to stone with just one look. But Perseus wasn't scared. He knew that he could beat Medusa, and he didn't need any magic weapons or spells. He just needed some good old-fashioned brains. So Perseus went to Athena and asked for her help. And Athena told him that she already had a plan. First, she gave him a shield that was polished to perfection, so shiny that it was like a mirror. Then she handed him a pair of winged sandals so that he could fly. And finally, she gave him a special helmet that could turn him invisible. Athena explained that these gifts would help Perseus defeat Medusa, but they weren't just tools of war. They were tools of strategy and deception. As Athena told Perseus, you won't beat Medusa with brute force. You'll beat her with cleverness. Remember, it's not the strongest of the species that survives, but the smartest. And so Athena sent Perseus on his way. When Medusa saw him coming, she was ready to strike. But as soon as she turned her head toward him, she saw only her own reflection staring back at her. And before she could react, Perseus was upon her with his sword raised high. But he hesitated. He couldn't bring himself to kill her. So instead of striking the fatal blow, he cut off one of her snake heads, wrapped it in a cloth, and tied it to his saddle. Then he mounted his winged horse and flew away as fast as he could. Back in Athens, the people were celebrating Perseus's victory over Medusa. They had no idea that Athena had helped him every step of the way. But Athena didn't mind. She knew that she had done her job. Now it was up to Perseus to claim his prize, the lovely Andromeda. Athena was known throughout Greece for her intelligence and strategy, but one day she decided to put those skills to the test. She challenged the other gods to a contest to see who was the smartest of them all, and the prize for the winner, the city of Athens. Now, you're probably thinking that this must have been a piece of cake for Athena. After all, she is the goddess of wisdom. But you'd be wrong. Her competition was none other than Poseidon, the god of the sea, and he was not someone to be taken lightly. Poseidon was powerful, arrogant, and a little bit sneaky. He wasn't above using underhanded tactics to win, and he was determined to take Athens for himself. Now, when Athena heard that Poseidon had entered the contest, she was a little worried. She knew that he was a formidable opponent, but she wasn't going to back down. This was a chance for her to show everyone what she was made of. So Athena prepared herself and waited for the contest to begin. When the time came, the gods gathered together to watch the competition. The first round was a test of strength, and Poseidon was in his element. He flexed his muscles and shook the ground with his powerful blows. Athena knew that she stood no chance against him, but she refused to give up. So she used her wits and came up with a plan. Instead of trying to match Poseidon's strength, she pretended to be distracted by something behind him. And when he turned around, she struck him with all her might. Now, you may think that this was a cheap shot, but remember, this was war, and Athena was playing to win. She knew that Poseidon wouldn't expect her to attack him when he was vulnerable. But it wasn't just luck that she had chosen that moment to strike. It was pure strategy. She had been waiting for her chance, and when it came, she took it. Unfortunately for Athena, though, Poseidon was too powerful for her to defeat in combat. so she had to come up with another plan. She pretended to be tired and exhausted and threw down her weapons. Then she sat down on a nearby stone and waited for Poseidon to approach her. He did, and he was smug and triumphant, thinking that he had already won. But Athena had one last trick up her sleeve. She offered him a deal. She said that if he could guess what she had hidden in her pouch, she would give him anything he wanted. But if he couldn't, she would keep it for herself. Now, Athena knew exactly what she was doing here. She wasn't trying to trick Poseidon. She was giving him an opportunity to win the city of Athens without having to fight for it. And she knew that he wouldn't be able to resist that temptation. And sure enough, Poseidon reached into her pouch and pulled out an olive tree. And Athena asked him, "Can you guess what I have in my pouch?" Poseidon looked at the olive tree and smiled. He thought that he had finally won. He had the gift of an entire city, and it was all thanks to his superior strength. But Athena wasn't done yet. She reached into her pouch again and pulled out another olive tree, and then another and another until the ground was covered with them. And the people of Athens who had been watching the contest were in awe. They couldn't believe what they were seeing. An entire army of olive trees. It was more valuable than gold, and they all wanted to know who had given them this incredible gift. When Athena revealed herself, the people of Athens were overjoyed. They had always wanted to have an olive tree in their city, and now, thanks to Athena, they had them by the dozens. And so Athena won the contest, and the city of Athens was hers. The Odyssey is one of the most epic stories in all of Greek mythology. And at its center is the hero Odysseus, a man who was famous for his intelligence and cunning. But even he couldn't have survived the perils he faced without the help of Athena. From the very beginning of his journey, Athena was there to guide him. She protected him from harm and helped him to overcome seemingly insurmountable obstacles. But it wasn't always easy. Sometimes Athena had to use trickery and deception to achieve her goals, and sometimes she even had to go against the other gods to protect Odysseus. For example, when Odysseus and his crew came across the island of the Cyclops, Athena advised him to disguise himself and sneak into the giant's cave. But when Odysseus's companion Polyphemus recognized the hero and shouted his name, Athena had to cover his mouth with a magical ointment so that the Cyclops couldn't hear him. Without Athena's quick thinking, Odysseus and his crew would have been caught and eaten by the Cyclops. But Athena's help didn't end there. She continued to guide Odysseus on his journey home, helping him to escape from the sorceress Circe, the deadly sirens, and the underworld itself. In fact, Athena was so determined to help Odysseus that she even went to the god Zeus and begged him to intervene when Poseidon was trying to punish Odysseus for blinding the Cyclops. Athena's faith in Odysseus was unwavering. She knew that he was destined to return home to Ithaca, and she was willing to do whatever it took to make that happen. And in the end, it was Athena's help that allowed Odysseus to reclaim his kingdom and reunite with his family. Could Odysseus have ever made it home without Athena's cunning? And so it goes, my friends. Athena was the wisest of the gods, and she used her powers to help those who were in need. But remember, she wasn't just a giver of gifts and a solver of problems. She was also a fierce warrior and a protector of her own. Don't forget that. The next time you hear her name, ask yourself, when faced with chaos, would you fight with brute force or with the wisdom of Athena? Hey, thanks for joining me on this adventure through the world of Greek mythology. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like and subscribe for more epic stories each week. Also, be sure to hit the notification bell so you never miss an upload. Until next time, stay curious, stay creative, and remember, you can call me anytime.